My friends, welcome to the series where we are building this whole mechanism. In the last video, we built the handle. Today, we will focus on the driving shaft, specifically we named it cranked in here. So to take a good look at it, let's hide everything else there. So this is the one that we want to build. We don't want to go all details right in there. So it will be a shaft and a shaft holder in the middle, and then there will be a handle with a circular end. So that's what we want to build in today's video. So previously we created a file. In there is a handle, and now we want to build another part. The first part of that part is going to be a cylinder. So the cylinder, we can create a primitive right here. It's pretty easy, so you can do that and then go into cylinder and then update the radius, say 5, right, and height, let's say 50 for now. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is the fully organic way, is draw a sketch on XY plane and draw a circle of radius 5 millimeter, diameter 10 millimeter, right? And that's all that we have in this sketch. And in here, we select this sketch and extrude it for the length that we wanted, say 25 millimeter. So it is important that this cylinder fits into this hole that we previously created. So I remember this hole being 10 millimeter diameter. So it is important that you create that as 10 millimeter diameter cylinder as well. So that's the first part. If we want to make it longer or like shorter in length, we can come back all the time and then adjust it. So that's why I want to rename it here and say shaft. So say driving shaft. Okay. And now I want to build this lower part. Maybe let's call that a crank. Okay. And that one, I want to draw it from a sketch as well. Maybe we can hide this handle for now. Let's go back. Okay. And in here, let's turn on the cross-section view. So obviously, the middle part will be a 10 millimeter diameter radius. And that's pretty much fixed. So we are not changing it. So let's not bother going into external geometries, referencing into the previous part. We just can make it simple. And then I want to draw an arc, something like this. So there is opening on the upper side, and I want to draw a rectangle to fill up that opening. All right, let's refine this further. I want to delete this end, the lower end, take these 2 points. So here is one trick. If you select these 2 points manually without pressing Control key on the keyboard, it will be selected, because sketching, the sketcher mode has a hungry selection mode, so you can keep selecting, it will be selected. Or you can do going down right, will only select the whole entities within that selection box. Going top left will select everything partially falls into that area. So we want to go select down right. So these 2 vertices are selected and we want to make them 1 point. So constraint coincident, or hit C on the keyboard. There. So now these 2 are selected, but they are moving up and down. We want to come them, like bring them at the same level. So let's take these 2 vertices from the arc and hit H on the keyboard. That's H for horizontal, or you can have it from here, constraint horizontal particle. There. And on this part, I want to delete this top edge of the rectangle and make it a circular end as well. All right, this time I want to make this end smooth. So let's say hit T on the keyboard or press the tangency button from the toolbar, T, and select these 2 edges that will make them tangent, and do the same on this side. So that is our end. On this end, the circular hole, we want to make it maybe 6 millimeters. So it's smaller than this one. And the radius of the end maybe 6 millimeters as well. Oops. Let's change the viewport. Sometimes it does that. And so this is going to be 6 millimeter. Maybe that's a little fat. Let's bring it down to 5, and maybe this one 5 as well. So we have 3 degrees of freedom left. Let's work on them one by one. One of them is the radius of this outer arc, which is going to be 8, right? And then two more degrees of freedom. So I see that this point got disconnected. So let's take these two and hit C on the keyboard. And I see that that got over constrained. So that is a little issue. Well, it's not issue. Technically, the FreeCAD software is right, but it's not. So let's hit Control Z. What we want to do, we have, so this point is already tangent. So that's 1 degree of freedom already applied there. So you can delete that tangency, and so delete that. Now this is moving up and down. So now we can make these coincident, right? So that works too. So now we have 2 degrees of freedom left, and one of them is being not tangent. So hit T, correct that there. So we just like did the same thing, just we had to do it one again. And that is a known, it's not an issue, but it's a known fact of FreeCAD, where you are adding a curve or like an arc to a straight line. Sometimes it doesn't take it easily. And then 1 degrees of freedom left, which is this length, the center between this this circular hole and the end circular hole. So we can take this point and hit D on the keyboard, and let's say this is 20 millimeter. And on this one, I want to apply a name right here. Effectively, this is the length that we'll refer back to later on. So I just put a name in right there. It says optional. Notice that I did not put a space between the two words, but I did capitalize two words. This is called camel case, and it does pay off later on. Right, let me show you where that naming convention pays off. So on the sketch 005, come to the data tab, under sketch, under constraint, you can see that all the constraints will show up right here. So there is unnamed, a bunch, and there is the named constraint. It says crank length, although we did not put a space in the middle because the capitalization of different words. So it put a space right before the next capital letter. Now let's go ahead and rename that as sketch crank. And I want to extrude that, say 5 millimeter. That's a little thick, maybe 3 millimeter. There. So that is our crank. This is our driving shaft. And let's say I want to put them together. So select these two and unionize them, fusion them. And so that's our driving. So that's our driver that will be driving the whole mechanism. Now, if you have a little experience in part design, by this time you already noticed that in part design, we don't have to put this together. It is already put together by default. In part workbench though, the user has more freedom, so we can choose which one to put together, which one to keep them independent. Say, if it was in part workbench, if it was in part design workbench, we would have to make a conscious decision to have two different bodies to keep them separate. But in part workbench, we've been doing these bits of pieces and then putting them together one by one, so which is adds more work to us as users, and but also at the same time uh, gives you more freedom which parts to put together and when to put them together. Sometimes sequence does matter, and then that time part this feature of or the lack of this feature in the part workbench puts you in an advantageous position. All right. So now you will notice that we have created the driver, but it is not at the right place. It's at the wrong place. So we'll have to move it upward somewhere there, right? We have to do that. However, because we have assembly work at the end of this series, we can keep it somewhere else. It doesn't have to be rightly placed. You can build everything at the origin or in place, and then later on move them together, or like here and there in the assembly workbench. So we are leaving it in the origin, but I did notice one thing. If I want to put it together, it will be going up and down. So either we'll have to increase the shaft length, or we'll have to decrease this shaft holder from the handle. So since we are in the driver mode, let's go ahead and find the driving shaft right there. And then remember the length was 25 millimeter, right? We want to make that 50 millimeter there. So, but this is the value that we'll come back to and then modify later on. So we'll come back to this value a lot. But right now, this gives us a wide range of going up and down on this mechanism. I have a feeling I'll have to reduce this height too, but we will leave it for the assembly work. So part of two, second part done. In the next part, we will work on this shaft. Check out the next video.